Hey everybody, it's Matthew. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at some fun things that the Spotify CEO Daniel Ek has recently said on social media, and we're going to talk about what this means for music today. So let's go ahead and jump right into this fabulous tweet he made on May the 29th that a lot of people have probably seen. Today, with the cost of creating content being close to zero, people can share an incredible amount of content. This has sparked my curiosity about the concept of long shelf life versus short shelf life. While much of what we see and hear quickly becomes obsolete, that is true, there are timelines, ideas, or even pieces of music that can remain relevant for decades or even centuries. For example, we're witnessing a resurgence of Stoicism, with many of Marcus Aurelius' insights still resonating thousands of years later. This makes me wonder, what are the most unintuitive yet enduring ideas that aren't frequently discussed today, but might have a long shelf life? Also, what are we creating now that will still be valued and discussed hundreds and thousands of years from today? And with that spicy send button pressed there, he made a big blunder by opening this by saying, with the cost of creating content being close to zero, people can share an incredible amount of content. Now, this isn't necessarily wrong, considering that if you look at, social media or YouTube or those things, it's super easy to take your phone out and film something and stick it up on TikTok or something like that. But the problem with this is that he is the CEO of the biggest music streaming company on the face of the earth, and he opens a tweet with that, which is really bad, and then he does talk about music later. Now, doing this, it sounds like you're referring to music as content, which is really terrible because, it's not something that you can necessarily produce that quickly. It doesn't really fit the mold of what we would call content today. That's usually referring to, social media stuff and not music, because there's a whole different, pipeline for making music. There's a whole different ethos and philosophy for the idea generation and how the music gets made, what it means to the person making it, all those different things. So that's a bad tweet. And saying the cost of creating it is close to zero, that's bad to say, because you're going to put out the red flags of, you think that it doesn't cost a whole lot to make music, which depends on what we're talking about. If it's just some random guy making random beats and rapping on it, not very good, and then just sending it up on SoundCloud, okay, that's not a huge cost. But with music here and most, real artists, we're talking about getting a lot of equipment to do it, spending a lot of time, spending a lot of emotional energy. There is a massive human cost to making music that is not talked about, which is, of course, your time, your physical and your emotional commitment to it. And of course, the money you got to spend up front to actually have equipment and instruments to record with that aren't total garbage. We'll get to some more of that on his follow-up tweet to this in just a minute. But of course, let us first see what's going on with the media here. Let's jump to this article here. I just found this thing looking for the content. So here's the tweet again with what he said. And then, of course, people talking about that. One of the things I want to highlight here, besides that, is the company itself, Spotify, has faced backlash for cutting 17% of its workforce in a year. And it has recently made it this year, or would be last year, because of how it's going to be reported, £1 billion in profit. I guess this is a British publication here, for making changes to its royalty system, which has seen it demonetize tracks under 1,000 streams. That's a really interesting thing there. And we go back to what he says here about things getting obsolete and talking about ideas that have a longer shelf life. When you're referring to that in this context, I don't think you're doing a particularly great service by, saying this, and then your company decides, oh, we're not going to pay anyone for streams under 1,000. Who knows how good some of those ideas could be? There could be some very good music there at that level, and yet people on the bottom end, you may not be doing right by them with your company policies. So there seems to be, to me, a lot of dissonance in this tweet between what he thinks and what the company's actually doing. Or it may not be. Maybe this is just him pontificating like some weird billionaire, because they do that sometimes. Other things to point out, more dissonance. The higher premium subscription tier, which is going to cost more. This is in pounds here. Farmers premium tier is increased. I don't know. I think it's supposed to be dollars. I don't know why it says pounds. Anyway, they're doing that, having more expensive subscriptions. And we still have this here for the number of per stream. And in November, they said they would change the royalty structure, with reports claiming it could pay less royalties to less popular artists. And then blah, stuff about the hi-fi audio tier or being first unveiled 3 years ago. Other competitors have added high-fidelity audio, but have not increased their subscription costs. And then ex-global head of publisher licensing at Spotify, Adam Parnas, wrote in a column for Billboard that Spotify's new bundled subscription is an ill-informed attempt to deprive songwriters and music publishers of their rightfully earned U.S. mechanical royalties. This is a respectful appeal to the company, specifically senior leadership team, to do the right thing by songwriters regardless of what strategies they appear to believe are legally permissible. End quote. Clearly, this tells you that he believes this is all a thinly veiled attempt to them to just, increase their profits, which is not a great look for the company. Okay, so that's a big problem, him saying that. Let's go to his follow-up tweet, which was later. Here it is. Obviously, seeing the feedback to this one, I wanted to respond. It's clear I was far too vague in the post, including my clumsy definition of content. A very unwieldy post. I understand how I came across as very reductive, and that wasn't my intent. Just to clarify, my original post was not to devalue the resources involved in creating meaningful works, whether it's music, literature, or other forms of creative expression. What I was most interested in was how, in this environment of constant creation, we can identify and ensure that the bold, exciting, world-changing ideas and pieces of art don't get lost in the noise. The significant drop in cost creation tools, which he's not wrong about, has led to an unprecedented explosion in the volume of what people are able to produce. Kind of. Time is a limited resource. Creation is only part of the equation. My focus was on exploring the staying power of the most creative, most thought-provoking ideas that didn't come across, and that's on me. I mean, yeah, but why'd you tweet what you tweeted? Because that seems, oh boy, I get what he's saying there, but that was a pretty bad tweet because you're the Spotify CEO, and you're dealing with music. The thing you said about content is incredibly clumsy because music is not content that is made or consumed in the traditional way content is. Music was around before content was used as a word to describe, things put up online or on social media, that was not a thing back then, and music is still largely made and consumed in a similar fashion. So that's just a bad way to say that. Again, the cost of creation tools, he is right about that, but they still cost money, but the most high quality stuff costs more money, and so higher quality music probably had someone spending more money on the front end to make. It kind of goes up like that. Granted that you can make something really good with, cheaper gear. It's still not near zero. Laptops, computers are expensive. They're still the most expensive thing out of the things for making music, because since you all got to have computers now with DAWs, and don't get a tape machine now. I mean, they used to be a lot cheaper. They're not now. Really bad. Don't do it analog. So you need a computer these days, and that's the most expensive thing usually. So it isn't cheap to make music. It's really hard. It can be really expensive. And that's the main reason why this is a rough thing. Now, if we delve deeper into his thing about stuff having staying power, that really depends on how the people listening to the music feel about it. You can have something really creative and profound, but if nobody hears it, it doesn't have staying power. If no one talks about it, it also isn't going to have staying power. Now, of course, the way for you to do that, Spotify CEO, is to use your app to, I guess, push what you think is great content forward more so that more people are hearing good stuff and it isn't being drowned out. You could do that, of course, by hiring real people that have experience, a lot of experience with music, understand it really well, to make some playlists maybe that push, lesser known artists. But one of the problems you have created is this weird dichotomy where you're saying you want this thing with creative staying power, but your company has not done things to really follow that kind of idea, because what you've done is you've decided that you're not going to pay for songs that have less than 1,000 streams. You've made paid Spotify more expensive. You've cut your workforce, which doesn't help you with that. And now we don't know what's going to happen with royalty adjustments later. Don't know what your ultimate plans are with that. If it could get worse for smaller artists. And doing those things do not help creative ideas get staying power, because you're making people more reluctant to want to put their music up because they may not get paid for it. And also your business practices make people uncomfortable, and some people may also not put up their music because of that. You've also made it more expensive to use the paid version of the app, which is going to drive people away from it, which means less people are using it, which means less people are listening to the music, which means you're reducing the staying power of creative, thought-provoking ideas. And we have come all the way back around to full circle to why that was a bad tweet. And this is also a bad tweet because there's a lot of dissonance between you and your company's activity. And the other thing, these things that they've done, what do? They increase the profits more. They help with the bottom line. What happens? Share price go up. It's very simple stuff. And of course, until only recently, in the last 2 years, has the company actually had a profit posted. If you look at the reports, you can. And I have, because I've owned Spotify stock before. I bought and sold it because it was a good move at the time. Doesn't mean I have any affinity or any appreciation for the company's actions. Most of them I don't think have been very good, but that's kind of the thing. It seems like all the moves they're doing now is typical corporate things just to increase the bottom line, which helps him out, right? Because he's going to be a big time shareholder. What if this is all an exit strategy and he's doing all this to soon sell a lot of his stock and then run from it, and then run away with it? Who knows what his ultimate plans are there? That would be an interesting thought to think of there, but it's not good. Some of these thoughts are pretty good right now with the whole AI thing and how everyone's worried about that taking musicians' jobs and, essentially stealing the creativity and putting it out at literal no cost. The best thing you guys could do is not allow AI music on your platform. If there's a way for you to make a detection tool for that or something, I don't know how to do that. I'm sure we can come up with something legally. Maybe Congress can do it where there has to be certain metadata or something in AI generated stuff that can be a giveaway to apps and platforms to be like, this is AI, this is banned, or something like that. Now, will something like that happen? I don't know. Is anyone smart enough to put that idea out there? I don't know. Probably, yeah. There are people, I'm sure, that have similar thoughts to things like that. And that would be good by, promoting people that are actually creative and making music themselves, and not someone spent 30 seconds typing in a prompt and now they've got a full song that's ready to go. That would be good. And also the thing I said earlier about having properly curated playlists that promote indie and smaller artists, and hopefully, I would hope to God, I'm praying, this probably isn't going to happen. I would hope with all the stuff they're doing right now, they do have a long-term plan for increasing royalty payouts. I'd like to think that, but with the things Daniel Ek says and the things Spotify does, you become rather pessimistic about that. So you would hope, that if they get to a point where their problems, they decide, we're going to increase this stuff now. I can only cross my fingers for that. I'm concerned that they won't. And I also think there should be a tiered system, but it should be an inverted tier system where less popular artists get paid more royalties, because the more popular ones get a ridiculous number of streams. So the money adds up a lot faster and a lot more. And people at that level, they're not even making most of their money. They're not even making a significant amount of money from the streaming anyway. So they probably aren't going to care if they get paid less. Whereas, you know, the little guy down here that's got maybe 10,000 plays a month or something, he gets a decent amount of royalties for that and the work that they're consistently putting in, because the smaller the artist is, the more they're doing on their own, the more work they're putting in, the more they should probably be rewarded for it. Anyway, guys, there are my thoughts on this whole thing and this whole drama that Daniel Ek has recently created with his fantastic tweet game, in air quotes. Like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed this little look and breakdown into what's going on with Spotify right now and how things aren't looking so great, and they have an opportunity here to fix it, but we'll see what they do. Don't forget to comment down below if you'd like, and as always, click the bell to know when a new video is going to be out on the channel. And I'll see you guys next time in another video. Have a good one.